Yeah,
Some
magnetic,
technobabble.
but it's glass.
Yeah, some type of adhesive magnet thing, because
Okay.
it's like they said you had to roll it off to get it off.
Right. And so
Roll it
then
off.
I was thinking magnets, but I'm like, well, it's glass and glass is not magnetic. But maybe with the sunscreen and the, filter that they have in the glass, that was the only way I could think it through if it was magnetic. But I love that because the glove just sort of had its own little personality and was sort of taunting him. Like, here I am, I'm working and now I'm not, and I just thought that was fun. But
and they set the stakes with the glove too, right? He's like, blue is glue, red, you're dead. And it starts flashing red, you're like, oh, here, because you know what's going to happen. You know what's inevitable.
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like they have to tell that, they have to give you that tension. They have to do the almost falling tension. But not only that, like adding to the humor as well, when that rope isn't long enough and he's got to swing and he doesn't get into the window, he hits the top of it and flips and then falls. Like, oh my goodness.
And then all of them have to pull him up like that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so tense. The suspensiveness is so good. Like, honestly, like I've seen The Wages of Fear is this French film, and that's a tense movie. Like, this is up there with one of the tensest movies ever made, I think. So, and that climbing on the glass, I think, is probably my favorite stunt in all 6 of the movies. Like, I really, really loved that stunt, and I think it's really amazing. The way the camera goes over his shoulder to go out, like, oh, it's just outstanding how it looks.
Because it's elongated too. Because this is an entire sequence. There are, like in 5 and 6, he does more over the top things, but they're kind of short. Like, don't get me wrong, it's extremely dangerous and extremely impressive. But this one, like, he has to go from point A to point B and do all this stuff. Other ones, like, it's him jumping onto something, and he has to hold on to it. Basically, that's basically it. This one, he has to maneuver his way up to the top. So I agree with you there, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
So you were mentioning him running a bit, and then this sandstorm that's coming through. That didn't really work for me in this movie because I felt like he was running from this danger, but then they're running through the market, and then people are just out there shopping as if it's no big deal. So it didn't, to me, feel like that this sandstorm was a real credible threat, that it was just a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, dude, why are you running so fast? I don't know. No one's really concerned. Yeah, it's going to get a little blustery. So it just didn't really work, I think, for me, as well as I think they intended it to.
It does feel like maybe putting one more thing on top, right?
Yes.
But that is what this movie and this franchise really becomes. One more obstacle they didn't count on. And those are a big thing in that part of the world, so I think that they wanted to tie that in somehow.
Mm-hmm. And to me, it's not like that it in and of itself is a dangerous thing, although, like, they can be. It's more the fact that, like, this life is going on and there's this hustle and bustle of all these people, but he can't see him. So that's why he's running so fast, is because he's going to lose this guy. This guy has the launch codes, the actual launch codes. And if he doesn't chase him down, the guy's going to leave with them, and he can't see where this guy is going.
Well, and I got to mention Chekhov's goggles, right? They established the goggles.
Yes.
And it's a funny joke, and like they're about to go into the hotel room, and Renner's like, goggles, like, oh, okay, and he hides them, and then they're searching him for weapons, and he pulls out the goggles, and he just give him a look, like, whatever, this is my goggles, man. And then they actually come into play at the end when he's running through at the end of the sequence, and he's running through the sand. So I liked how they set that up. That's what's smart. Like, these Mission Impossible movies, they set stuff up very well where it doesn't really feel extremely contrived, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's true about the goggles, yeah.
And when they introduce the sandstorm, they're looking out the window, like, after they cut it, and they're like, what is that?
So they don't never see one before.
Because that's why they set it up, is because you think what's going to happen is the sandstorm's going to come on him while he's outside the building.
Right.
Is what they set you up for one type of expectation, but then it gets paid off later in the film in a completely different way. And, like, that's the brilliance of the writing of this film. Because, the logical thing would be like, oh, that's a long ways away. And then it just blows in. Like, in the first episode of Discovery, they're like, oh, that's a long ways away. And it's like, well, it's not that long ways away. And you're in trouble. And, I'm just going to climb on this building. And that sandstorm's a long ways away. And then it's the next thing you know, he's surrounded with it. But, they don't play it. They don't do that. They change your expectations up. They mess with your expectations. And that's, I think, what makes a really good movie.
Now, I want to talk about the team a little bit here. Now, this is probably my favorite team yet of the movies. I love Paula Patton. as Carter. She's probably my favorite Mission Impossible agent, female agent. She's beautiful. She kicks ass. You know, she has issues, right? They weren't in a relationship, but they kind of had a thing going on. Her and the agent who died at the beginning of the movie, the guy from Lost. Yeah. And that affects her, you know. So she's like, you know, and this is like, oh, these things have consequences, you know, and so it's good, and she kind of overcomes these to fulfill the mission, and so you're rooting for her to do so. So she's a great character. Of course, Benji's back. He's you know, it's great to get him out of the office into the field. They even have like a whole. Like, it's like, Benji, what are you doing out here? It's like, oh, I passed the field test, you know. And it's a Scotty voice for some reason, sort of. And then I think, you know, Jeremy Renner is a good foil because you think he's going to be like some, like, they set him up, oh, he's an analyst. He can't exist in the field, right? But then it turns out when it comes down to it, he can hold his own, and we get his whole backstory, too. And he's a little mysterious, and so, you know, Crew's like, who are you, Brant? And they have that whole standoff where he, like, steals the gun, and he steals the other gun. And so I think they really build the team very well here, and I love Ving Rhames as Luther, but it was nice to. I'm glad he appeared at the end to kind of keep it going where he'd been in every film. But I like how they mixed up the team some, and I felt this is by far the best team yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Luther was okay, but this team I really, really like. And, you know, like, he has to tell Carter, do not kill her, you know, because she's got issues. You know, she wants vengeance for, you know, losing her lover, I guess.
Would be lover? Like, he's like, I should have told you were beautiful or something like that. I'm like, okay, well, they could have had a thing at some point, maybe. Right.
So she definitely has issues. And yeah, Simon Pegg is just great with the tech and, you know, with him being a rookie and out there on the field. And seriously, with that fake arm when he was the waiter. Oh my gosh, I was laughing so hard through that.
It took me a minute to like, where's that arm coming from? Oh, it's a fake arm, right?
I'm like, how is no one catching this? Aren't they supposed to be spies? But it was so funny.
Yeah. She can. Oh, that's the different guys. Yeah, I was gonna say she can tell when Jeremy Renner's blinking too much or taking pictures, but they can't tell the fake arm. But that's right. He didn't go in that room. But
no, he was in both. Because he had to get the diamonds and then
and he had to deliver, right? Absolutely, yes. Good call.
And so no one picked up that this was this fake arm. I loved it.
I like how he says, like, oh, do I get a mask? Like, he's like, mask, I'm going to wear a mask. He's like, I'm not exactly Omar Sharif. He's like, I guess I'll go French or whatever.
Yes.
But speaking of the team, like that was a weak part of 3 for me, the extra characters on the team. But I do think it would have been more impactful, like we were talking about with Mike, if these characters carry on through, right? Mm-hmm. So Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who was the helicopter pilot and other things in the last movie, had he been the agent that got killed at the beginning of this movie, like it's just one scene. Mm-hmm. You know, they could have done it. I know what's his name. You know, he from Lost. I can't. You know, he's in with the J.J. Abrams crew and whatnot, and he did fine. I'm just saying, like, for continuity's sake, it would have been nice. And I understand IMF's like a big agency and there's lots of faces, but perfect opportunities to bring characters back just a little bit. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity there. See,
and that's why the one thing I didn't like about this film was that Luther wasn't in it. You know, because I really like his character, and so like I feel that he was missed in this movie. You know, like he's obviously enjoyed by the fans of the film. They bring him back in the next 2.
Well, the thing about Luther...
so he is coming back, because I was going to ask, because I was Spoilers. Like, we saw him at the end, so does that mean we're going to see him again?
Yes, I'm sorry, Amy, your favorite character's going to come back.
Okay.
The thing is with the Benji, right? Their skills are kind of... There's a lot of overlap in their skills, so I can understand why they struggle to kind of get them both together. But fortunately for the movies, the world we live in has become so technological. It's like you need 2 hackers to get any of this stuff done. Mm-hmm. But, so talking about other characters, though, like... I gotta say, like, I wasn't that impressed with the villains in this one. What did you guys think?
Agreed. I agree with you.
Yeah, they didn't seem to be like they were smart, you know, and they were one step ahead and stuff. But I don't know if we just didn't get enough time with them, because you know, in the previous films we had some time to get to know them. You know, in the first one, it was the guy that worked for Mission Impossible, so we spent a lot of time with him. The second one, it was that former agent, and there was lots of scenes with him and his henchmen. You know, the third one, we got a lot of interaction between him and Ethan. And this one, you know, like, this guy doesn't really say much in this movie. You know, he's there, and he's smart, and it's very interesting to see what he can do and how he's ahead of Ethan and the team. But yeah, we don't really get a lot of him.
Yeah, and his goal was like, I'm gonna, set off a nuclear weapon, so we all have to live after the. It's like I don't. It's a very comic booky goal. It's like I won't live to see paradise, but the world will. It's like, I don't really buy it. It was better when you just didn't really even understand the motivations of like Philip Seymour Hoffman's character in the last one. Like you get that he was a guy going after an item, but again, that was the brilliance of the last one. Where like it did the MacGuffin, the rabbit's foot didn't even matter, right? It was more about everything that went around it. And this one was, I mean, they literally fire off a nuclear missile and they have to stop it. And then he says, "Mission accomplished."
Yes.
Out loud. And I love that Luther's like, "You actually said that out loud?" Like again, the movie, it's self-aware, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So
excellent.
even though this is, at the time I said this was my favorite, I was like, "This is the best Mission Impossible movie." Oh my god. These are the worst villains of all four so far, unfortunately, I think.
See, and it doesn't detract from the movie for me because, the action scenes and the other stuff that's going on is so impressive. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see 5 because there's a lot of really good stuff in 5, and I won't spoil any of that for Amy. There's a lot of really good stuff in 5. I didn't think it was as good as 4, but I'm splitting hairs there. It's still a pretty outstanding movie. So I'm wondering if on a rewatch I might like it a bit more.
Yeah, because I actually I like this one a bit less than I thought I would on the rewatch.
Yeah, see, it didn't affect my ratings. Like when we get to them, it won't. It hasn't affected my ratings because the action scenes, the humor, like all of that stuff, and the mission work that they're doing is so well done. Like I still love this movie hands down.
So a huge thing about these movies are the masks. And there's not many in this movie. But Amy, what is your take on the mask? Do you enjoy how often or they use masks in this franchise? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so when I watched the first one, I was like, yep, perfect. And then the second one, I was like, are you kidding me? Every 5 minutes, it's take a mask off. It got beyond control.
Listeners, we did not prompt her to say that.
No, we did not know.
But I remembered seeing it in the theater and going, oh, every time the mask came off on 2, I was like, oh my gosh. And then on my rewatch, I'm like, this is so stupid. So I know that I liked it on the first go round. So I'm not going to, lie. But then the third one I thought was great. And yeah, this one. So how many masks were there?
Well, see that's a game that we play here. So let's ask you guys, Amy, how many masks do you think there were?
Okay, so I know for sure the one with the Russian guy going into the
Sandstorm?
Kremlin,
right?
Yeah, no, the Kremlin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even though Benji says, "Oh, I wish we had real masks," like that mask or that disguise Tom Cruise is wearing there is exactly the kind of disguises he had in the first movie. So to me, that's a mask.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Why do you say
Yes.
no?
Because it's just like a mustache that they put on him.
Did you not see Mission
No,
Impossible
there
1?
were
That's exactly what they did.
Parts. There were different parts, but it was a mask.
Nope.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
count as a mask for me.
No, it absolutely counts
It
as a
does.
mask.
No.
You outvoted 2-1. We have
Yep.
a guest, and they're on my side, and you're wrong. Okay, so no, he has like a fake nose and a mustache, and he looks different enough. If you're going to count the mask from the first one, where he's the old man or whatever, you have to count this one too.
What? That is not even the same caliber. I need a new co-host.
Well, he looked enough like the guy that didn't need that much, but it was still a mask.
Just because it was 1994.
So that was 1996. There's one mask
1996.
there, right there. There is a second mask in the movie.
Okay, is it worn by Ethan?
No.
No, it's worn by a villain.
Yes.
Oh, okay, then no. I forget.
In the dust storm. He takes it
was
off.
that him?
The bad guy,
Yeah.
the main
That he's
bad guy
trying to
was
catch.
wearing a mask. We
Of his
thought
henchman.
he was the arms dealer, but he was really himself, which is kind of a weird.
Yeah, that was confusing because I was like, is this a new character? Are we supposed to know who he is? Because we see that he was wearing the mask of his henchman, but we didn't meet his henchman until after we saw that he was wearing a mask of his henchman. So it was a little,
Right.
I can get why you get a little confused there.
Yeah, he's
but
wearing
even
the
then-
mask of his henchman, and then we meet that he actually does have that henchman later on.
Yes,
Like-
yes. Okay.
So anyway, so yes, there's only 2 in this movie. I'm counting both. So that brings our total so far through 4 movies is we have 13 masks so far,
Oh,
4
my
movies.
gosh.
13.
13.
There
12.
are 13 masks.
12.
I'm going to go full Picard on you, Brandon. There are 13 masks.
Listeners, what do you think? We need some help on this. Unfortunately, by the time you guys hear this, we'll have also recorded 5. We won't have recorded